Welcome to chapter 9, the second to the last chapter. We just got finance after this and things will be split up. We are now this far into the semester. If you remember, I did start the semester quarter. I did start the quarter completely shaved. And then I guess this is how long we've been in it. Although I guess you're watching these videos usually about a week after I record them, but still. So we're going to talk about describing data. We did a little bit about statistics before on collecting data, and now we'll talk about describing it graphically, which is going to be mostly this week, and numerically, which is going to be mostly the week after, where we talk about means, standard deviations, interquartile ranges, and stuff like that. Okay? So next week will probably be a little bit more fun for some of you math-loving people, but let's get into things right here. So we're going to be talking about describing categorical data to start off. That'll be 9.1, and then 9.2, the second half of this week, we'll be talking about histograms and stuff for quantitative data. There's another word for that as well. So we're going to start by talking about frequencies and frequency tables, and you can read those definitions, but I'm just going to get right into it, okay? So we're looking at a simple data set of colors, all right? So maybe these colors are drawn from a bag of M&Ms, and then we looked at, what color M&Ms did we get? Who knows where these colors come from, but let's say that we did do some of these. And we're looking to make a frequency table. Frequency table just organizes how many blues do we have? How many everything else do we have? So I think that's all the blues. We got 5 blues. So what we're going to do down here, make sure it's not upside down for you guys, because I forgot to do that before I started the video. This is going to be 9.1. All right. We're going to organize this into color and frequency. And frequency just means how many times it appears. Well, for this class in this chapter. Means how many times it appears. So we're going to start with blue. The order doesn't matter here. And we counted 5 blues. And then we just go back and do the same thing for the other colors. I see a green, 1 green, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 greens, so then we'll just write down green and put down 4. I didn't show you that, but I did it. Then we count the reds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 reds. And now, whenever I'm counting these manually, I really do like doing it this way. You don't have to use colored pens, but I like to underline just to show that, yes, we've counted everything. Right? There's nothing that I counted twice. There's nothing that I forgot to count. It's just a thing that I like to do. I also like to do it when I'm collecting like terms. If you're doing like algebra, just underlining to show what I've taken care of. All right, so let's make that frequency table. We've done most of it, but it also says include the relative frequencies. Okay, relative frequencies are just the proportion. Okay, so to find the relative frequencies just how many times it happens. But it says also include a relative frequency one. I'm okay if you abbreviate because I love abbreviations. So the proportion, it's going to be 5 divided by the total. Well, we need the total if we're going to do that, right? The total is 14. There are 14 total pieces of data. So blue is going to be 5 out of 14. And you can write 5 out of 14. I don't have a preference whether you use reduced fractions, decimals, or percents, or you can calculate 5 out of 14 and see what percent that is. That's going to be about 35.71%. Do the same thing with green. That's going to be 28.57%. And the last thing with red, which I'm very good at doing proportions in my head, 5 out of 14 is definitely 35.71% approximately. I did that in my head. So hopefully if you add all of these up, you should get about 100%. Well, it should be You can have rounding errors, but other than rounding errors, it should be exactly 100%. So this is about 71 when you add these two, 71 plus. Yeah, it's about 100%. Good. So, right, this adds up to total, and this adds to 100%. It's a good way to kind of check your answer. Make sure these things are true. And that's example 9.1. That's our frequency table. Okay. Sometimes they don't include this, but the book, the homework, the quizzes, they'll all specify whether we need the relative frequency or not. Okay. Let's do 9.2 next. I'm assuming 9.2 is next. I didn't look. Wait, are we supposed to be talking about bar graphs in this video? I don't remember. We're talking about bar graphs now. It might be the next video. Abort. Check this out, Jason. Bar graphs are in this video. Perfect. I knew it all along. So a bar graph is just very similar, but it uses a frequency table. Okay. So the horizontal axis lists the categories and the vertical axes list the frequencies. So we just basically plot the data that we've found from the previous one. So to find a bar graph, we're going to have blue, we're going to have green, the order does not matter, and we're going to have red. That's our horizontal axis, is always the kind of data, the categories. All right, these are all the categories. And the vertical axis is always going to be the frequencies. Categories, frequencies. These will change. This is always going to be frequency. So blue just is 5. Let's make sure we go up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't have to use graphing paper. It makes it look nicer, but you don't have to. And then blue is 5, so we're going to draw a little bar up to 5 for blue. Great. You can shade it if you want. You can leave it unshaded if you want. Green is 4. Now the big thing that we're doing when we're doing this is make sure that your bar graphs, your bars, these things right here are not touching. Okay? Bar graphs are rated PG, unlike bars, which are not PG. They're PG 21. That's not a real thing. And then we'll do the same thing for red. Red is also 5, so we're going to make sure to go all the way up to 5 for red like this. And this is our bar graph. Histograms, which we'll talk about later, those are touching. And a lot of times those are for numbers. Bar graphs are a lot of times not for numbers, for categorical data. Okay. And last but not least in this video, we're going to talk about Pareto charts. Okay. So Pareto chart is just a special kind of bar graph where it's ordered from the highest to lowest frequency. And that's what we're going to do next. We're going to make a Pareto chart. Same thing as a bar graph, just ordered. Because in a bar graph, I kept saying the order doesn't matter. But here, the order does matter. So highest frequency first, that's going to be 9.3. We're basically going to switch these two. You might say, Jason, does red or blue need to be first? It doesn't really matter. A lot of times you might see it in alphabetical order if there's a tie. So blue, red, green. But I don't think it matters too much. So all we're going to do is we're just going to make the same exact graph. But we're going to switch red and green. And then that's it. And that's basically this video. I'm going to talk through this as I'm filling this in. But again, just use the definitions, look back at the notes. Should be pretty straightforward. You can also draw these with your computer. There's a lot of programs and stuff that you can use to do these things, and I'm okay with you doing them. You don't have to do this all by hand. Some things I do by hand, some things I don't do by hand. Making sure this is actually tall enough. And that's pretty much it. All right. Good luck. Hope you enjoyed learning about bar graphs and Pareto charts and frequency tables. And I need to stop talking. Goodbye.